Magus, the world of Magus is a fantasy universe, but what we didn't want to do for Magus was do kind of the normal thing with orcs and elves and dwarves and things like that. We wanted to do something original. So with Magus, what we did was we came up with kind of a world that is mainly occupied by humans, and we kind of based it in a lot of ways on what we would think about the real world being. So for example, if somebody all of a sudden in 2013 Tokyo, Japan, all of a sudden had magical abilities, people would be like, holy crap, who is this guy? You'd kind of think, okay, are these guys do they have godlike powers? Are they gods? Are they angels? What are they? And part of that too, I think, you look at some of the Marvel movies and things like that, and you see where these superheroes come out, and all of a sudden, it's a whole new universe. And so, in a lot of ways, Magus kind of draws inspiration from some of those places. And so, within the world of Magus, basically only the gods have the ability to use magic. And so, once you discover that you have the ability to use magic, then people worship you as a god. But where Magus himself is, they've kind of fallen out of the old ways. They don't really believe in the gods. They don't even know if they exist. They think those are just old legends, things that might never really happen. And so that's kind of where we find ourselves at the beginning of the game and in the story. Blah, blah, blah. But yeah.